Meth, nicotine, and alcohol. All these substances are drugs. But what if I told you there's other drugs, like money? Money can be a drug, and being on your phone can also be a drug, and you can get addicted to them. But I'm going to talk about the hidden drug, the drug that we don't really always talk about. And that hidden drug is power. Hi, my name is Wami Newman, and today we're going to be talking about power and how it's addicting. We're going to start off with talking about what power is. And before we start off with that, I'm actually going to tell you, we're not talking about the power of like how strong you are, like how much you can lift. We're talking about the power of like controlling people, or being able to control things. And then our first point will be, we're going to be talking about addiction, and how addiction relates to power. And that's kind of interesting how that works. And then we're going to move on to topic 2, where we're going to be talking about, I asked a couple people questions on my social media about power. Is it addicting? And those kind of questions. And we'll get into those answers when we get to part 2. And then finally, I'm going to end it off with really talking about a time when somebody was in power. World War II, there was somebody who was addicted to power. And we'll be talking about that last. So, power is addicting because of dopamine. And if you don't know what dopamine is, it's the drug that makes people happy. It's the chemical that gets sent to your brain when something good happens. Like you get a raise, it's like dopamine gets sent saying, yes, I like this. And then another example that dopamine will get sent to your brain is actually from Weber, Understanding Addiction. When you when you wake up at night and you go get a cold drink of water and that feels really good, dopamine is actually getting sent to your brain. I didn't know that. I think that's kind of cool. But also, dopamine gets sent to your brain if you like drink alcohol because you feel that's good. Same with nicotine and other drugs like that. Dopamine is getting sent to your brain saying, yes, I want this. And that's how people can become addicted. And power, when you have power, you feel good about yourself. You feel strong. That's why dopamine is getting sent to your brain. And people who have lost power feel very sad, and they just don't feel good, and they feel like they got hurt bad. And people don't want to get hurt, so they want power to help. I asked people on my social media about power and if they believe it's an addiction or if they just think power is power. And the age group that I had for this was about 30 to 50. That was about 71.4% of the people. And then 28.3% of them were the 18 to 30. And then I asked people if they are in a position of power. And by position of power, I also said that if like you're a mom, you have power over your kids. Or if you like have like a job where you have power over other people. And 28.6 of them said no. 14.3 said maybe. And then the rest said yes. So the majority of them said yes. 57.1% of them. And then I asked them, is power addicting? And then I got 57.1% of them saying yes, and then 28.6 saying maybe, and then 14.3 saying no, that power is not addicting. So then I kind of got those little nice questions, and then I really wanted to get deeper. I wanted to ask deeper questions. So now I started asking more deeper questions. I asked them, is there anything more addicting than power? And some of the answers I got were screen time for kids, caffeine and sugar, and alcohol and greed. And then I moved on asking, how does it feel losing power? And some of them said discouraging, scary, frustrating. And then I asked them, have you ever lost power? And then 74.1% of them said yes, and the rest said no. And then after that question, I asked them again, have you ever lost power, and how did it make you feel? The reason I asked it twice was because also from Al Rahan, it said asking people twice the same question at different times on a question will make them answer it differently. And actually, when I did it, they actually answered differently. And I got different responses, and actually more deeper responses from them. So one of them said immobilizing, another one said a loneliness, and somebody said it was humiliating and made me question who I am from losing power. And that really made them feel hurt, and people don't want to be hurt. That's why they want power back sometimes. But sometimes losing power is good, and sometimes people can look at it and go like, yes, I'm okay losing this, or I'm glad that I don't have that anymore, because it might be stressful for them. And now let's talk about history, a time in history where we saw somebody in power. World War II, Hitler wanted more and more power. The time of Germany was people were sad, they were frustrated that they just lost, and they were in a time where they needed someone to lead them. And Hitler got into that place, leading Germany, and he was addicted to power. He first got Austria, which was where he was born, and he was like, yes, I like this, now I have more people to control. And now people can't hurt us anymore, because we have more control over people. And that's when he really started getting addicted to power. And then he took over France and more countries. And he was addicted to power. But what if we can change the viewing that we have in our minds of power? What if we change it to more of, I don't want power so I can control people. I want power to help people and build a better place for people. And that's the mindset where we should be if we don't want to get addicted. Or we should be in the mindset of saying, it's okay to lose power. It's okay not to have power. And the people who are addicted to power really want to say, I want power. I want to control people so I can't get hurt anymore. And that's what dopamine really takes that effect. Is where people are lonely, they're sad, they're like feeling down because they just lost power. They feel like they lost like everything. So then once they get more power, they're like, oh, this feels good, I want this, and I want more and more power so I don't get hurt anymore. So power is an addictive drug, and we have to be careful of it. But also power cannot be an addictive drug. It's how you view it. And today I really covered about what power is and dopamine and the effects of it. I also went over the questions I've asked people, and I also really talked about a time in history when we saw somebody very addicted to power. We can also see this now. And thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and have a great one.